It's another wonderful day of horrible NFL rankings. Welcome, football fans. It's Mitch of TheBottomLineView, and I'm going to be honest, I really don't know what I would do without these people because they're giving me some of the greatest content without even trying. All I have to do is scroll Twitter or X or whatever they call it and find these rankings pop up right in front of my face. This time, the culprit is CBS. Oh boy, we know CBS. We've talked about them before. They regularly, routinely have some of the worst rankings you have ever seen. And this time, it comes from our boy, a gentleman they call Cody Benjamin. I'm sure he's a great guy. No offense. But in this video, I'm about to tear apart his quarterback rankings like Kendrick Lamar did Drake. So if that sounds good, don't forget to grunt spike the like button and let me know what you want me to react to next. If you have a list that I missed, get in the comments and let me know about it because I definitely want to react to it. This is just too much fun, guys. Let's go, man. We're going to begin at the top with the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, according to CBS's Cody Benjamin. Now, I will say, Patrick Mahomes at number 1 is the correct choice. Congratulations to Shelton Benjamin for getting that one correct. Of course, not too difficult to figure that one out. I think the local guy, as Bill Belichick would say at the Foxborough High, could get that one right. Now let's move past number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Let's look at number 2. Guys, am I reading that correctly? Does that say Brock Purdy at number 2? Not 32, not 22, not 12, 2? Wow. Okay, I love me some Brock Purdy. I think he's pretty good, and I think you do too. But no one in their right mind, no general manager in the entire NFL, including John Lynch, would take Brock Purdy straight up over Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or probably even Joe Burrow. Never mind Justin Herbert. Probably not CJ Stroud. He's not even the best quarterback in his own division. That would be Matthew Stafford. Shout out to Rams fans. I actually get to talk about Matthew Stafford in a positive light today. I want to so bad. It's just, here we go, right? The Los Angeles Rams do not have their quarterback on the top 10 here. They have Josh Allen. They have Joe Burrow. They have CJ Stroud, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. I don't know why I'm saying they. It's Shelton Benjamin, Cody Benjamin, okay? Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love. Those are the quarterbacks in his top 10. Now let's analyze it. Okay, first of all, Brock Purdy is just throwing me off at number 2 because that is just not correct. Do I think Brock Purdy belongs in the top 10? Yeah, probably, right? If you want to make an argument for the top 5, like I think Purdy is probably around like 9 to 12 range, if we're being fair. Maybe a little higher, maybe like 7 or 8. That's fair. I think pushing him to the top 5, that's just a little bit much. You know, considering the help he has on his team, the coach he has on his team, considering all those things and the lack of kind of resume that he does have, even through an impressive 2 years or 1.5 years, I still think that Brock Purdy is just not quite in that elite level. He's just right below that. And that's fine. That's fair. He's still very young. He can get there. Number 2 is outrageous. How is he ahead of Josh Allen? How is he ahead of Joe Burrow? And then, never mind, right? We've got the MVP of the NFL, Lamar Jackson. Shout out to Ravens fans who also all of a sudden hate me. Lamar Jackson is at number 6. He's the MVP of the NFL. I do not care if Josh Allen had 15 more touchdowns. Can't. I do not care. Okay? Lamar was the MVP, the number 1 seed in the AFC. He's been a 2-time MVP. He could be a future Hall of Famer. He's number 6. I love CJ Stroud, but how can you realistically put him above Lamar? I don't know what is the criteria? I don't understand. Okay? So Lamar is a top 5 quarterback at the very least. He's probably in 99% of people's top 4. And if you don't have him in the top 5, I think you're smoking something. To be blunt. Okay? Now, Joe Burrow belongs in the top 5. I agree. CJ Stroud, I think they're a little overzealous having him over Lamar, but I think the real misplacement is Brock Purdy. Because if you just really push everybody up, put Brock Purdy a little bit lower, you got Allen 2nd, Burrow 3rd, Stroud 4th, Lamar 5th. Maybe I'd still want Lamar higher, but I wouldn't be calling it out to the degree that it's horrible, right? Then Jalen Hurts is at number 7. I think Stroud deserves to be in the top 7. Totally with it, totally understand. Josh Allen is the 2nd best quarterback in the NFL, and the only other person you could argue over Josh Allen as of late is Lamar, because he won the MVP. Josh Allen, to me, though, from 2020 through 2024, has been the most consistent quarterback in football, statistically, production, and just play. And then what he does for his team, how he carries his team, Superman, cape, running, throwing. He is a beast. To me, he's the 2nd best quarterback in football. And that became clear last year, in my opinion. Lamar has not been as consistent as Allen. Burrow has been injured and not as consistent as Allen. I would put Allen 2nd. You could argue with Burrow and Lamar. I'd personally, right now, put Lamar over Burrow because Burrow didn't really play last year. So I think that's fair, right? And then, Stroud can slot in after those guys. That's fine. Jalen Hurts is he's not a top 8 quarterback. I mean, just watch Jalen Hurts play every season besides the season he went to the Super Bowl. I don't think anyone would have them in their top, or Jalen Hurts in their top 15 if they didn't think of that one season he had. He's had multiple other years at this point, and yeah, he started last season decently well, but a lot of his production came from the tush push and the tush push alone. A lot of 1-yard touchdowns. I think there's just so many flaws in Hurts' game right now. I think he's bad against the blitz, and that is evident. I think that he does not read or throw to the middle of the field that well. I think that when his run game is not working, as a drop-back passer, he is somewhat limited. I think that his arm angles, manipulation under pressure to be able to throw from a multitude of angles and platforms is limited. I think he is a great leader. I think physically he is a specimen. I think he has great power in his legs. I think he's got a good arm. But I think as a passer inside and outside the pocket, I think as a reader of a defense and a mental capacity, he is limited. So Hurts is not personally in my top 10. I would put him somewhere around 11, 12, 13, somewhere in that range. 7 to me is too high. Some may disagree with that, but I think, honestly, we saw last year why I think that's warranted. He is not in that range. Dak Prescott played better than him last year. Dak Prescott was in the MVP conversation last year. Jalen Hurts was not. Okay? Justin Herbert, underrated on this list. I think from a talent standpoint, Justin Herbert is a top 5 or 6 quarterback in football. And I don't think that's really debatable, right? Now comes production and evidence. And of course, Herbert was injured last year. The year before, he got bounced from the playoffs. But I think when we look at Justin Herbert, a lot that has been around him has been extremely, unfortunate. From the coaching, to the offensive lines, to the receivers getting injured constantly, to the defenses not knowing how to stop a run or a nosebleed. I mean, so Herbert hopefully soon can get the support he deserves. But as a player, when you watch him, I think there's few quarterbacks you would want over Justin Herbert. I think he's in that top 8 at the very least. So 9 does seem a little low to me. Jordan Love, I actually really like that ranking. I'm not going to hate on that one. At number 10, I think Jordan Love is well placed. Maybe actually a little high, if we're being honest, but I don't mind that. I actually think that's a good ranking overall. So, looking past the top 10. Now we're getting into the interesting territory with a lot of random rankings, and I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Let me know where I'm right. Let me know where I'm wrong. So Aaron Rodgers at number 11. This one's just impossible to rank because Aaron Rodgers was a back-to-back MVP. Then he was kind of not as good as people thought, right? Like Jordan Love last year was significantly better than Aaron Rodgers in 2022. Like Aaron Rodgers was not good in 2022. His stats still appear to be decent, but the excuses that his receivers were young, the excuses that he was fighting with his coach, which isn't even an excuse, it's just his fault. Like the friction between him and the front office, again, mostly his fault. If we're really being honest, like he was just mad that Devontae Adams got traded. Like you're a grown up, get over it. Like Aaron Rodgers was so conservative, captain check down, didn't make a lot of big time throws or explosive plays. And honestly, he felt like a quarterback that was protecting his stats, his touchdown to interception ratio, more than really he was trying to win games. So hopefully in New York, he goes out there, he's a little bit more aggressive, he's a little bit more tough in the pocket, willing to take a hit, willing to make a throw, right? If he gets back to that, we know mentally he's great. We know he can still rip it. We know that he's accurate. We know all those things. He doesn't have the mobility he used to have, and he's probably a little fragile. I wouldn't have him this high on my list personally because there's too many concerns, especially, again, what we saw from him last. But it's Aaron Rodgers, so it's hard to really say that he can't be number 11 on this list. At number 12, Tua. Honestly, on the surface, I don't hate the ranking. I just feel like players behind him I would rather have. I personally think Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Tua. I personally feel like Trevor Lawrence is at least more talented than Tua. Not as productive as of late. I think a lot of that has to do with the situation they're in, right? Having Tyreek Hill wide open, catching fair catches in the middle of the field definitely helps. Having Jalen Waddle, having a young mastermind in Mike McDaniel, who ever since you got him, you look like a professional quarterback, and before him, you look like an absolute bum, right? You look worse than Mac Jones before Mike McDaniel. So I'm not quite sure about that ranking personally. I think Jared Goff's better. I think Cousins is better. The last time we saw him, now the question is Achilles. Matthew Stafford is certainly better. That's not even a question. Matthew Stafford being ranked 16 is absolutely outrageous, disgusting. You should revoke your credentials of watching football. I don't even know what to say. How can you rank Matthew Stafford number 16 in the NFL? That's an absolute joke. That is a joke of a ranking. That ranking above all else makes me mad. Like actually angry. Like I am downright furious right now that Matthew Stafford, after winning the Super Bowl, after outdueling Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, I mean, come on, in the same playoffs, and then what he did this past year to get that crappy roster to the playoffs and nearly beating the Lions, who nearly beat the Niners. I mean, come on. And how many times does he need to break records with a different receiver? Well, this year it's Cooper Kupp. This year it's Puka Nacua. This year it's Calvin Johnson. You know what the common theme is? Matthew Stafford. You talk about the guy that everyone copies his style of play, his throwing style, his mechanics, his arm angles. That's Matthew Stafford. That's who it is. Okay? Deshaun Watson at number 17 is the biggest joke I've ever seen. Deshaun Watson sucks. I don't know how many times I have to say it. The guy absolutely blows. So unless he goes into a time machine, you take the Deshaun Watson from the Texans before all the mumbo jumbo off the field, and you transport him to the year 2024. You are not going to get a productive quarterback named Deshaun Watson. The guy absolutely sucks. And this year, I hope he plays better because I don't want to see this Cleveland roster wasted. I hope he plays better. But man, he sucked last year. He sucked the year before that. He needs to improve everything. From the mental, both on and off the field, to the accuracy, to the consistency. He didn't even look physically the same. How are you putting him at 17? That's a joke. A joke. Like, I don't really hate Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Trevor Lawrence rankings. That's whatever. Like, that's about the range. So I'm not really going to complain. Geno Smith at 18. I don't hate that one either. But honestly, if we watched Baker Mayfield play last year and we watched Geno Smith play last year, who was better? Just use your eyes. I don't even need to bring up the stats. Baker Mayfield was a better quarterback last season than Geno Smith. Geno Smith's had one really good year 2 years ago, and Baker Mayfield has had probably multiple really good years at this point on different teams in different systems, and he also was a first overall pick. I know that he had a little bit of a down moment, but Baker has bounced back in a big way. I mean, he was a Pro Bowl level quarterback for the NFC last year. I think that deserves mention inside the top 20, especially over Russell Wilson, who's making $1 million. No one would be willing to pay him more than what he's making for Pittsburgh. Are you kidding me? You have a guy that the NFL just told you is worthless. He makes $1 million, and you have him as the 19th best quarterback in the NFL. Is he even the best quarterback on his team? We do not know. Kyler Murray is at 21. That's an absolute travesty. Kyler Murray is literally the road runner in the NFL. Beep, beep. He just runs around in circles. He's got as much talent as pretty much any other player at this position. He can rip the football. He can throw from inside or outside the pocket. He is quick. He can elude pressure. He can buy time. And he's pretty good within structure. And he's already shown that he can carry a bad coach and a bad roster to a playoff spot. Now, is he inconsistent? Has he had some injury issues? Does he play COD too much? Yes. But is he a top 15 quarterback, a top 16 quarterback? He's better. I'd rather have Kyler than Tua. I'd rather have Kyler than old man Aaron Rodgers. I'd definitely rather have Kyler a million times, even if we swap contracts. Deshaun Watson, I'd rather have Kyler than Geno. If Kyler was on Seattle, I'd feel a lot better about the Seahawks. And I like Geno too. Like, this isn't even throwing shot. Like, this is just such a bad list. Will Levis is at 22. What? What has Will Levis done to deserve the 22nd spot in the NFL? Caleb Williams. Okay, I kind of get that one. He's supposed to be really good. Anthony Richardson, though, I'd probably have above Will Levis. We saw maybe a little bit more Will Levis, if I'm not mistaken, but the small doses that we saw Anthony Richardson, I was fairly impressed. He's still very raw, but man, the guy is a freak show. And then we're just going down this list. Derek Carr, I don't even like Derek Carr. I think the guy absolutely blows. He is not the 26th best quarterback. You think J.J. McCarthy is better than Derek Carr? What? Are we serious? J.J. McCarthy, they don't even want him to touch the field this year. I mean, saying Will Levis is better, that's kind of bold, but I guess I could see it. But that's bold. I would give you that. Man, oh man, this is a crazy list. So you have JJ above Jaden Daniels. Where's Drake May? I guess you don't have Sam Darnold, but you have Jacoby Brissett. I don't know. I don't really understand. Why would you not have Sam Darnold on this list? Why is J.J. McCarthy there? Anyways, no one cares about Sam Darnold anyways. Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew almost made the playoffs last year. I know that he's Gardner Minshew, and he wears jorts, and he looks funny, but is he not better than Jaden Daniels right now? Like, we don't know anything about Jaden Daniels yet. We don't know anything about J.J. McCarthy. Gardner Minshew is absolutely better than J.J. McCarthy. To have Will Levis and Gardner Minshew separated by 6 spots is insane. Bo Nix and Bryce Young are ahead of Daniel Jones. Bryce Young was the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life last year. He was horrible. He was one of the worst first overall picks I've ever seen. Period. Bo Nix? Are you kidding me? Daniel Jones took a team with no receivers to the playoffs 2 years ago. I know that he didn't play last year, really barely at all, but Daniel Jones is not the worst quarterback in the league. He is definitely better right now than J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, and Bryce Young. I don't know. What? I don't know. I feel like I'm smoking something. What is with these rankings, dude? Like, holy. I cannot believe it. There is not a single ranking on this entire thing that is good. I honestly could not tell you one ranking that I would have the same on this list that would be on my list. I honestly do not know. Like, I'm going to go through every single one to sum it up. Aaron Rodgers, I'd have him lower. Tua, I'd have him lower. Jared Goff, I'd probably have him higher. Kirk Cousins, I'd probably have him a smidge higher, although that might be the one that is most accurate. Trevor Lawrence and Matthew Stafford are too low. Deshaun Watson is way too high. He sucks. Geno Smith, that's fairly accurate. Fairly accurate, Mr. Benjamin. Russell Wilson, too high. Okay? Baker Mayfield is better than Russell Wilson. I don't think that's controversial. Kyler Murray is better than Russell Wilson. I don't think that's controversial. Those are too low. Will Levis, probably too high. I like Will Levis and his potential, but what has he really done? Okay, Caleb Williams, that might be accurate. Anthony Richardson, that might be accurate. JJ McCarthy, what in the bologna sandwich is that? Derek Carr, that is too low. Jacoby Brissett, that's probably too high. Jaden Daniels, I have no idea. Gardner Minshew, that's probably too low. Bo Nix, he's not even in the top 32. Bryce Young, honestly, he's probably not in the top 32, but he is a starter, so you have to put him in there. And Daniel Jones, I mean, Bo Nix is probably not even better than Jared Stidham, if I'm being honest. And Daniel Jones, way too low. I don't even think Daniel Jones is good. But number 32, wow. Okay. Whew. Oh boy. Thank you guys for watching. Gronk spiked the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more NFL reactions to wild rankings just like that. Peace.